allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The board is scheduled this afternoon, and the primary reason is we are working to expedite the appointment of a town manager. The sole purpose of our meeting today is to discuss the town manager applicants. As you know or may not know, it was Monday that we went through, and we spent over 3.5 hours interviewing the 3 finalists. These finalists the names were derived from both the search firm in Upton and the recruiting firm of MRI, working with these candidates to vet the whole process. And it's my understanding that the search firm and MRI both came to the same conclusion as to the 3 finalists. As I say, the board, we met with them on Monday, and we had a number of questions, 17 questions, which were written, and then we went beyond that, asking other questions, and the intent was to get a feel as to who would be the best fit for the town of Upton. Having completed that, we are now at the point where we are going to discuss the candidates. At the conclusion of the discussion and the board's decision as to which candidate, we will be going into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Exception 2, to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, simply meaning we are going to go in to structure a contract offer to that individual. At that time, the individual will respond to us that they are willing to accept the position based upon the contractual offering, and then the recruiting firm, MRI, will do a background search and, if required, a medical search to evaluate the persons for the final phase. And then after that, obviously, the board will make its final appointment and accept the contract in motion. So that's where we stand at this point. I would ask before we start, and I open it to debate to the candidates, if any of my colleagues have anything to say or any questions at this time?
Nothing.
Okay, we have 3 candidates. The candidates in no special order, Thomas Gregory, Patrice Garvin, and Derek Brandisi. And as I say, all candidates, it was well in excess of an hour for each, so we had extensive dialogue with them. I would open it up. I'll first go to Gary Doherty. Gary, I'd like your inputs on how you feel the candidates performed, and if any preference, please state so.
Personally, I could see myself working with any one of these candidates. I think they all did great on Monday, but particularly one candidate stood out to me, Derek. What stood out to me was the way he did his research in the town. He during the interviews, he actually referenced our strategic plan and other things like that. He also attended our annual town meeting, which means a lot that he actually did his research into this. I have pros for every candidate. I mean, I like what Thomas Gregory said about zero-based budgeting, working with the 495 Development Compact Group. And then Patricia, she comes from a similar-sized town, regional school district. So, and she wears many hats, what the town manager does here. So, they're my pros for the 3 candidates.
Okay. Steve?
Yes. 3 excellent candidates. Same thing. I would echo Selectman Doherty's thoughts. I think all 3 of them can do the job. I as well have Derek Brandisi as my number 1. Good job as far as attending our town meeting, understanding a lot of our budget, actually pie chart regarding our budget. I thought he answered the questions fully and completely. I actually had it very close between Brandisi and Gregory. So I have Gregory as my number 2. But as well, candidate Garvin, coming from a very similar size in regard to budget, and as well with school districts, 2 school districts, regional high school and a vocational tech as well. So I thought her background was pretty similar, so I thought that was good as well. But again, I had Brandisi as number 1.
Okay, well, I'm going to make that unanimous rather than stated at the end. My compliments to all 3 candidates, and again, I can't say enough about the search committee and the recruiting firm. Mr. Brandisi, one of the things that really resonated with me was that when a question was asked, his response was well thought out, but it wasn't a pause or a reflection. It was an immediate response. He knew the answers. He didn't pause or hesitate. He was very confident in his knowledge and experience within the roles of a town manager. You have to be impressed with somebody that would not only attend the town meeting quietly. I didn't know he was there. We didn't even know who these people were until Monday. He also made contact with employees of the town. He spoke to our present town manager to get a feel for the town. And having done the research, when he brought forward our budget and how he broke it out and did an assessment of it, stating that really there was only 11% of the budget that's in play, the rest of it's obligated, shows me that he has a real sense of it. Patrice Garvin, I was impressed by her because of her knowledge, and she dealt with some very, very difficult situations. Having a board that 2 of the 3 members were recalled during her tenure there, and making it very difficult. You have to balance that. You have to be able to still work with town departments. At that point, we know the leadership would have been changed, and she has to be a strong person to do that. Mr. Gregory has excellent skills. His background is very solid, extremely knowledgeable. But I come out with Derek Branzisi, I would say would be my number 1 selection, and I would say Patrice Garvin I would recommend as number 2 should Mr. Branzisi should for some reason or other not be our number 1 choice, whether he selects not to or we have some other area that may come up. So I think the board's in the consensus that Derek Branzisi is number 1 for you, correct?
Yes.
And number 1 for you. Number 2, if I'm not mistaken, you had who number 2, Gary?
I'm like on the fence. I mean, I'm breaking it down into like approachability and stuff. Now I'm looking at they both, worked with cable access, did TV shows, welcoming. They're both tried to be visible. They both talked about interacting with the schools. I have Thomas. I never really heard him talk about like HR, which is a big role in our town manager. And then the other con that I have with Patrice is I wish she would have expanded on her answers a little bit more. She was a little direct. I felt that I wish I saw a little bit more depth in some of her questioning. Then some of the things that concern me is some of the stuff that's happened in the past with the recall of the selectmen and stuff.
Okay, it seems, let us move forward with our first candidate, and if I could ask for a roll call vote. All those in favor of Derek Branzisi being the candidate of choice to offer the position of town manager, please roll call, say aye. Gary?
Gary Doherty, aye.
Stephen Metellian, aye.
Robert Fleming, aye. So it is evident that Derek Branzisi is number 1. The board I would recommend highly that we come up with a second selection. I'm still not clear where you are, Gary.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% clear where either one of you are. Patrice Garvin would be my second choice, so I would ask.
If I may, I have Thomas Gregory as my number 2. Again, a little more solid, a little more defined in the answers, answered all the questions, and I did feel like a few questions with Ms. Garvin, I just felt like they weren't answered. I just kind of missed them, whether she didn't hear them completely or just missed the question. And again, Gregory had mentioned several times our budget, knowing some things. I believe he actually mentioned town hall acoustics. So again, familiarizing himself with our issues. That's why I have him at number 2 and Garvin at number 3.
Gary?
I'm just reading through my pros and cons again, my list.
That's
I just
fine.
Wanna,
That's fine. This is not a fire drill. Let me get this right.
School system, persistent. I mean, they both, show that they're persistent, hard workers. But the thing that I like that Gregory kept saying was that the budget, level funded, zero based. And that's what I think is going to edge me out over her.
Okay, so at this point, if I could ask for a roll call, it's my understanding that Thomas Gregory has the vote of 2 as the second choice. So I'd ask for a roll call to Thomas Gregory. Steve?
Stephen Metellian, aye.
Gary Doherty, aye.
And I will go with the board. I will not pleases the board, I will say Thomas Gregory, unanimous, a second choice. So at this point, we have a first and a second candidate to offer the position to, and the only reason for the second choice is should some unpredicted obstacle come up that Mr. Brandisi can't take it, that we would have somebody else to go to. At this point, they've all been very well vetted through the process and solid candidates all the way around. So at this point, unless the board has anything else to say, I motion that we get a motion, we go in executive session. Anything else?
Nothing?
No, just
Mr. Reed?
also.
Okay. I would motion the board go in executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21, Exception 2, to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel.
Aye. Agree?
Gary Dodio.
Robert Fleming, aye. The board will only come out of executive session for the purpose of adjournment. Okay?